Today, we want to talk about the Aatrix solution and what Aatrix can do for you. We also want to talk about, why would you want to use Aatrix eFile, benefits of Aatrix eFile, importantly, also filing options. A big part of this is talking about, what the variety of filings that Aatrix can do for you. And as far as pricing, how does it work? That will be a big part of the demo today, showing you the process and how easy it is to use Aatrix with your accounting solution. And then also importantly, how do I get started? For those that are new to Aatrix and have never used it, what is the process to get started? So we'll go ahead and talk about all that today. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but I want to make sure that everybody is aware that when you're using Aatrix, you're using a product that has been time tested and is used by hundreds of thousands of customers in the U.S. So you're working with a company that has a great deal of experience with payroll reporting, and this is basically what we do. Over 300,000 active customers in the U.S., millions of form filings annually, and folks that use Aatrix tend to use us again and again and again. So a very good retention rate with our product. One of the nice parts about using Aatrix, one of the things that people really enjoy about it is that when you're using it, there's no importing or exporting of information. It's one process. Basically, the data flows from your payroll or software directly to the forms, and then of course to our filing center where we can process these for you. So it's that one process that makes things easy to file. One website. So when you set up your Aatrix account, which we'll show you later in the broadcast, it's one website to view all your histories, your filing statuses, to enroll. So very easy to get started. And then also, of course, importantly, is that if you have any questions, of course, there's always going to be questions, post filing, and Aatrix has a great support team here to help with any and all questions. You can reach us via phone, chat, or email. We've already talked about and why use Aatrix. We've already talked about the file formats, and that it's basically one process no matter what report you're filing. So when you're doing your W-2s with us, it's the same process as filing maybe a 1099 or filing an unemployment report or a 941. It's really the same process no matter what form you're filing. When you're sending these files to Aatrix, it's extremely important for us and you as the customer to make sure that there's no errors that would result in a rejection of the filing. So Aatrix has, I think, roughly at this point, about 1,800 error checks that we have implemented into the product. And so when you're filing with us, we want to make sure that you don't have any of those pesky rejections. You don't get any from any of the state or federal agencies. So error checking is greatly reduces the amount of communication that you would have to have with those federal or state agencies. Of course, we want to make sure that all the forms that we do are completely updated for you. So whenever you're filing with us, if there's been a change that's occurred during the quarter or for year end or whatever it might be, you can be assured that those changes will be incorporated into Aatrix, and you're filing with the most accurate and latest forms. And of course, the business that we're in, the other piece of this is security. Take security very seriously here at Aatrix. And so as far as intrusion audits and other sort of certification, security certification, we make sure that our processes are up to the highest standards as far as security, and that when you're using us, that you won't have any problems. Never had a breach or intrusion with Aatrix, so just be assured that not only are we doing audits daily, weekly, monthly, but it's really up to the we're doing audits up to the second. There's constant processes in place to make sure that your data is going to be secure. Also wanted to mention just briefly what's your time worth. So we wanted to just review a bit as far as what the cost would be if you're doing some of these reports in-house, if you're filing 1099s or filing W-2s in-house. So the information that we have here is information if filing 100 W-2s and 20 1099s, and some of what the cost would be in-house. So when you look at the costs of buying forms, you look at the labor that you have to do this one-time year-end process. You look at what the costs for postage are going to be, and you add everything up. And we've changed this. We update this every year, but this year, the cost for everything to do, the estimate to do everything in-house, if you weren't using Aatrix, ends up to be $8.26. So, not only are you saving time with Aatrix, of course, you're also saving money. And I'll go ahead and bring Nisa on at this point, and she can go through the rest of the PowerPoint and first of all explain some of the pricing, so you know exactly what the costs are going to be. Go ahead,
Awesome.
Nisa.
Thank you, Ryan. So good morning, everyone. I'm Nisa. And I'm just kind of picking up from Ryan's explanation about the Aatrix solution as a whole. With our filing options, this is something that we have explained many times to customers, the importance of using Aatrix at its full capacity in terms of using our complete eFile service. Now, you do see the price ranges from $2.50 to about $3.50 per employee or recipient. That's because it will depend on the partner solution that you are using. And we do have that information available on our website, on our partners tab, or Find My Solution. You'll see a list and you can choose your selected partner and view your pricing and filing options there. However, with the complete service, why we recommend it, it's because ultimately at the end of the day, it's just peace of mind, making sure that your filing from start to finish is being handled with all those variables that Ryan said of having the security, making sure that the errors are checked, and just well knowing that it's going to reach the employee or recipient rather than kind of trusting the mailing system, in that year-end time. So we will do your printing and your mailing. We also offer the employee PDF copy that is hosted in your account, and we will visit that a little bit closely. The federal copy is filed with that IRS, the SSA, and then, of course, your state. Now, again, all of this is included for you. We just need to go through the process and select that. However, for some of you who are still printing and mailing, we do also have those other services that are listed here with their respective prices, where you can purchase your paper from maybe your partner or a paper purchasing store. We do not sell those because we are strictly more on the e-filing that you could use as well. We do have a $29.99 minimum that applies to any filing. And we do also, in fact, help customers with corrections. So for any reason, if the file was rejected by the state or by the feds, as long as that original filing was made through Aatrix, you can come back and e-file a correction file for $18.99. With that, we also provide a payroll reporting option. So besides the year-end, Aatrix also offers the quarterly 940s, 941s, the unemployments, wage withholding, new hire reports and payments. We are consistently adding more and more forms that are becoming more popular within not just obviously the federal side, but the state side as well. So again, according to your partner solution, you could definitely check out that list and what that offers. We have that a la carte cost where you would just select a form and continue to check out in the process. However, for those companies who are perhaps filing multiple state and federal forms in a year, we do have an awesome discounted package pricing for you guys. So depending on the number of employees within your company, say if you're a company that has about 50 employees, your charge for an annual subscription from the date of purchase will be $339. And you can file as many times as many forms as I've just mentioned in the slide previous to this, and it helps you save money. It just helps save time. So if you're monthly filers or bi-weekly filers, this is like a game changer in terms of that money aspect of it. So we do have those options for you guys. With that, I'm going to show you how it actually works. So we're just going to jump into the demo here. So give me 1 minute to switch over my screens. All right, perfect. So today we are going to demo a W-2, and it's going to look slightly different within your software, your partner software. Just because it's a demo today, we just have something generic set up for you guys. So the first question is going to ask you to go through a wizard. Now, this is pretty nice, where you could actually test out so if you have 25 of your employees that you'd like to test out, or if you'd like to test out all of your employees, it just gives you kind of a feel of what the process would be at the time of filing when you come down to actually submitting the file. So if you are a new user, I highly recommend you take advantage of that. Nothing will be submitted. So it's just for you to kind of get a feel of what the software is like. In this case, I'm going to say no, thank you. I'm going to move forward. This is also very crucial in proceeding with the next step, is making sure that the EIN is validated to be the correct EIN. If this information is not correct, you probably want to go back into your partner software and double check which EIN and make sure the numbers are correct and which EIN was enrolled with Aatrix. I'm also going to talk a little bit about enrollment. Most of you here are probably refreshing, coming back as already using Aatrix, but for those who are new, there is an enrollment process to get that going, and we need that right EIN to be presented so you can eFile for that company that's been enrolled. So double check that EIN is correct. Some of you may have payroll data files, so you perhaps maybe have the C-suite list on another database, or you have some employees or contractors on another, and you want to merge them. We do have that option within our software, and if you do, you can just select yes. You do have multiple data for this company. It'll take you on a couple more steps of just verifying what that information is, and you can proceed. But in this case, I do not, so I'm just going to say no. Again, the contact information, all of this information is pushing from your payroll software or accounting software. So this information should already be filled. If you do see anything, again, that's not correct on here, you can go ahead and make the edits here, but you do need to go back into your payroll solution and permanently update that. Tax preparer type, if you are a third-party filer, like maybe you're a CPA firm, you can select yourself as a third party. And on the next slide, as you can see, there are some preparer information sections you would need to fill out. So if you are, select that. If you're not, and you're filing for yourself, you would select the first one. The state tax item. So for the demo purpose today, we are filing for the state of Idaho. And this account number did, again, come from my payroll solution. And for any reason, if there are any errors with that number, as Ryan mentioned, Aatrix does do a lot of error checkings. But in this case, we are only checking for the format. If the number was supposed to be a 5 instead of a 4, you would want to make sure you go back into your payroll solution, make that permanent change, and on the fly, you can select it and edit it and make that change here too. Again, we are eliminating or essentially minimizing those errors for rejection or fines or whatever it may be. So please make sure this information is correct before moving forward. If you do have any special tax or local items, it would show here. If not, you can move forward. Data verification. So if you are exempt from any medical, social security, you can choose. If you're a member of clergy, control numbers for W-2s, you can select your variable there. And for those companies who are offering an electronic format to receive the W-2 or 1099, if your employees or recipients do opt in and there is a consent form on file that they would like to receive their W-2 forms electronically versus the paper format, you can select yes. And the next steps will just ask you to verify those employees with their email addresses and information so that they would be able to receive their copies electronically. All right, W-3 information. Again, you can just fill this information out. I've just had the 941 attached with my W-2. So go ahead and say next. Employee truncation. So we have a couple of formats here for you guys. You can not have any truncation at all, the one with the Aatrices or one with the X's. So just want to let you know that any truncation that you select, it will show up through the process, even though you've selected it. However, on the actual form that's going to be filed, it will then show the format you selected. But until then, you will see all the numbers on the form. All right. So now we are finished the wizard. So that's just like the general introduction to making sure that the information for your preparer, your type of filing is being completed. Now we are moving into the preparer where the actual information or the date for your W-2 information can be viewed here, edited here, and just double check that everything is good. So as you can see, very much functions like a spreadsheet. There's options to add rows, just right click and you can copy, cut, paste, insert rows. This is where Aatrix is going to run those 1800 plus error checks for you. Again, mostly on the formatting side. So please do pay attention if there is any information that is out of place. On the top here, we will let you know what we are running checks for and what we are verifying. So at this point, we are verifying the employee information. It'll be highlighted in blue for every section that's going to be validated. Additional employee information. What's also nice about this is that you do see your totals up there. And for whatever reason, if you have any questions, here's some helpful tips or did you know? So there's a couple of FAQs that you could read up more about if you have any questions on this form for your totals or trying to balance things up. Yeah. So that was federal information going through the state. I don't actually have any like minor issues with any of the data here. However, if maybe you are off by maybe a couple of cents, it will let you know within the process that, hey, your federal wages are off by a couple of cents. Like, do you want to, fix that? We kind of call those maybe soft errors. And so you can choose to move forward or, fix that. But we do let you guys know. However, for example, if your Social Security number started with the number 9, which we cannot have, that is like a fatal error. You cannot pass that. So depending on what kind of, errors have populated, some are soft, some are hard. No, you cannot move forward. So just keep a lookout for that. And again, any edits that are made on this sheet, you will need to go back into your accounting or your payroll software to make those permanent updates. Now that everything has been verified, you can double check. I'm just going to go ahead and agree. With that, we now get to select our service. And of course, the point of, us sharing is that Ryan shared how much time and how much money it is, it would cost to print in-house and get accountants to, go through the process of doing all of this when you can just let Aatrix handle that. So excuse the old pricing. Again, this pricing will depend on your on your payroll solution. So get a hold of anyone at sales at Aatrix to kind of explain that if need be. Otherwise, it is a default that it selects the complete service. And if you wanted other options, you can go ahead and select that. We do offer PDF archives as well. So for an extra cost, you do get the whole form of what you're filing. So you can kind of keep that in the back end for a year. And we send you a USB drive with that information for that particular filing. I'll just go ahead and say yes, and it'll pop up on my checkout list. But this is where if you had multiple states, there would be a list of all the states on here that we wanted to file for. I highly recommend you do not deselect any states. As it is, you are already paying for the complete service. You do not need to do one at a time because it'll already include all the states for those employees. So please make sure not to leave off any states because that will cause, a rejection in your filing come time to submitting. So make sure all the states that you have are selected. We do see a review date of what's actually going to be on the next and final view of the actual forms. So it's just letting you know here that we are going to look over the federal W-2, the 941 federal W-3 for the state, the employer copy. So you can take a screenshot of this just to make sure that all of that checks out. But if you just select next, you do see the actual replica or the actual form that will be submitted to the IRS, to the state, and of course, then the employees as well. And with that, it is not editable. There's no editable boxes. As you can see, it's all grayed out. So this is the final form. If you do have multiple pages and you just want to kind of skim through, making sure the information is correct, you're welcome to do so here at the top left, where you can kind of trace over the pages. At this point, if you are looking to print on your 4-part perforated paper, you can do so. I'm going to choose not to because I am already using the complete service. And you can also print your statement copies as well, just for backup at this time if you needed it. All right, this is a 9 pages. So again, you can check that information there for the federal W-2. Don't want to print. So I'm just going to select next. Okay, now 941 W-3 comes into play here. Again, all ready to go. All right, Idaho does have a recon with it, so I purposely put this in just for you guys to see. But on the next page, you will find the recon where I will be having to actually enter in some information, because this would be a good example of maybe some of the information that was not present in your payroll or accounting solution that did not pass over. So for that case, you can see here how this form is editable compared to the ones previously. And so I'm just going to go ahead and fill this in real quick. And you will see that all this information that needs to be in red, it needs to be filled, but the ones in blue are editable. So if there's any mistakes or errors that you see, you can make those edits on here. So with that, I've already double checked. I know that everything's going to be good. I don't need to print. And now I'm going to be connecting this file to the Aatrix eFile Center. And how I do that is that for those of you who are obviously current employees, you have already set up your username and passwords. And for those of you who are new with Aatrix, the enrollment process does offer you that chance to create that username and password that you used to log in at this time. So previous to this page, you obviously saw, a price of what it was all going to entail. And moving forward, you'll see that at the end as well. So at this point, we're just making sure that your information is correct. Again, double checking, validating the tax preparer information, your contact information is correct. This is just letting us know that because I'm in a demo mode, I've already submitted it, so you guys will not see this. So we do have discounts, or currently right now with our eFile packages. So if you're new to Aatrix and want to explore some of those packages, you can save 20%. In this case, I'm going to say no. All right, so here's my final cost, and it's a little bit on the higher end because I did choose to select the PDF copies, but again, you don't have to do that. And if you decide that you want to collect the PDF copies even after you filed, just give us a call at sales@aatrix.com. Email at aatrix.com or our 800 sales number, and we will be happy to send that USB over regardless of whether you choose this in this process and if you wanted it later. So our cost is $79.13. And with that, it's going to ask you then to select some of the dates as to when you want the copies to be mailed out. Now, because our year-end 2025 year-end period hasn't opened up yet, you will not see any drop downs, but with your solution going through and filing your year-end, you will see some drop downs here. So typically the employee copy goes out the very next day if you do not select a date. And also the federal copies are typically like a week out in terms of those dates. So I highly recommend you also view the Aatrix deadlines, because our deadlines are a little different from the federal deadlines. And so we want to make sure that we are receiving your file in time so that we can get that postmarked and sent to your employees on time. So please take a note of those. With that, it's just letting me know again, I failed to submit this on time. So again, you will not see that. This is just the payment option. So you can put your credit card here, your information, and you pay at the time of filing. So pretty simple. With the PDF archives, if you did select it, it will ask you to verify the address because like I mentioned, we ship that USB to you guys. So just verify that is correct. All right. So this is probably one of the last pages you'll see. And this is just to confirm that you are selected the right company to eFile for. This is your invoice date. This is not the last page. I'd like to just mention that. So you do have to go ahead and click submit. Once you click submit, you do get a confirmation sent to the email on file that was already enrolled with. And then, of course, you do get a AFID number. That's a 7-digit Aatrix filing identification number. For any reason, if you have any questions via support or sales, that number is crucial to have because that's also your confirmation that we have received that file. So make sure you get that AFID number. With that, I'm going to jump into the eFile Center. So for those of you who are brand new with us and haven't enrolled, this is how you would enroll. You can go through your partner website that we have available on our Solutions tab, select your partner, your payroll solution, and then you can enroll. But this is a simple efile.aatrix.com. Anyone can enroll here. You would select a username and a password. Keep that pretty generic because we can only have one user per account. So if you do have to share these credentials with other users or other filers from your firm, just having something generic that can be shared would be nice. We also do allow enrollment of the same EIN multiple times. So that way you can also keep accounting separate from payroll if need be. Basic information here takes about 1 or 2 minutes. If you have all your information, it's free. So once that username and password has been created, you would need that for your eFile processing. But after the submission of your file, after a couple of days, it's nice to just jump in here or even before filing just to kind of get a feel of what this administration looks like. Highly recommended. So as you can see, we do have some quick links here. So maybe change your password, how to get started, request a W-9 form. Maybe some firms delete that. That information you can definitely find here under the companies tab. So if you are a firm that maybe a CPA firm, or if you are a firm that has multiple entities you are filing for, we do recommend that you enroll the main preparer EIN and then log in and then add the other company alongside this account. What that does is that it just helps you maintain one username and password for all the companies that you're filing for, so you don't have to remember multiple username and passwords, right? And so as you can see here, if I did select Aatrix Farms, the company that I just filed for, this is basically all the information about it, what email address I had on file for it. If I am filing any payments or associated payments on the payroll side, I already have my bank information set up, my states are set up. So very nice to just kind of have this information at your fingertips and kind of get that ready beforehand. The inbox tab over here is super nice because it also acts as your confirmation, leads into when the filings have been submitted and you get a copy for it. So the filing for the W-2s, you can select this confirmation, share it with accounting if they need it. But that AFID number is what I was talking to you about. So unless you get that, you don't have any submission for a filing. So you can find all your confirmations here or any notifications. The calendar is nice. You can set that up for just reminders or your different pay periods of all the filings that you have going on. The filing tabs is where you'll probably be in most because this will kind of give you details. So in most cases, if you have a question like, oh, did my W-2 copies get mailed out? Well, you can definitely come in and see that here. Again, this is a test account, so you probably won't see dates here, but your account will show the actual dates of when things were processed. So this is just giving you a general example of okay, the W-2s, employee copies were mailed out at this. If things were still on hold, it will give you information about that. So this is kind of nice. So you don't have to maybe jump on a phone or chat to a representative beforehand and waiting in line. You could just come in here and make sure that's all good. If you still have questions, of course, you're welcome to give us a call. With the complete service, we do have the employee copies, like I mentioned. So over here, I'm just going to select one of those, and I'm going to show you what that kind of looks like. So for example, let's just say Solace mentioned, hey, I did not receive my W-2 or 1099. What's the tracking on that? So you can jump into here and the status. So we are connected with the USPS mailing service, where it does give you live tracking. So in this case, this has not been mailed out yet. And if it has, it will actually give you like a track record from where it's been shipped out of, or mail on the way, shipping or transportation of the file. So you will see like a list of that. So it's pretty nice to know that it's not gone lost in the mail. Also, if that person's address has been updated with the US change of address, even if that wasn't submitted at the time of filing, because we are connected with them, we would know that there would be a new address on file. And so you would get notification on that. And there'll be like a little information box here, or like a little red or yellow sign here to let you know that, hey, the address that you submitted to us was actually an old address, but we've updated that for you. Again, that's another nice piece of using the complete service, because now you know that Solace is going to get his or her, copy at the right address, right? Another nice thing is that for any reason the copy was not delivered, you could provide the PDF copy of that W-2 or 1099 right here. And for those who have opted in for the electronic version, they can definitely, get if they don't have a password for their link, you can reset that or share this link with them to access that as well. Under the pricing tab, according to the payroll or accounting solution you are using, the prices will reflect. You can purchase your packages off of here for other payroll and Fed state reports, but here's the basic W-2, 1099, 1095s. The help section is probably one of going to be your best friend come here and the reason why I say that is, especially if you're new, and even if you're coming back as a current e-filer with Aatrix, this is just nice to kind of remind you that we have different forms of communication, right? So if you'd love to talk to us, here's our 800 number for our sales team. And if you want to chat to the support team, they have their number there as well. If you want to send us an email, maybe there's a screenshot of something not working right, you can come in here, put in your AFID or EIN, give us a picture, body of context of what's going on, submit that over. Someone at support or sales will get back to you. But if you just maybe want to check in with us on live chat as well, we have those available. Windows support is the support team, sales is sales. And if you have any questions specifically to the AFID or that filing that you just made, you can definitely reach out to our eFile team as well. So lots of information here. Another big one is the eFile due dates. Of course, please make sure to go over these dates and look over the list thoroughly to make sure when to submit, because anything after our deadline, after 3 p.m. Central Time, we cannot guarantee that we will get that out on time, just because we are dealing with millions of filings, right? We want to make sure everything is in place and delivered on time. If you have any questions, you want to connect to our FAQ, we have that also available right here. So with that, I'm going to jump back into my presentation and just kind of wrap up. So how do I get started? If you're new to Aatrix, like I mentioned, the first thing that you'd want to do is enroll. Get that out the way, create it so you're not trying to create that within the process and kind of mess up your flow. Save money and time. Right now, a lot of companies are looking at possibly, purchasing forms and postage and all that good stuff, but we have that solution for you where you don't have to do that, right? So the complete service is highly recommended. And for those of you who are coming back, and using Aatrix, thank you for being loyal customers to us. We love working with you guys. This is nice to just have a refresher, because we understand that it's only done once a year. So there's a lot of questions that do come up. But yeah, start your filing process. If you haven't tried the complete service, go ahead, give it a shot. You won't be disappointed. And, we just want everyone to save more money and more time, right? With the peace of mind behind it. So with that, more slide on the communication of reaching out to Aatrix, chat, phone, email, however you guys prefer. We have all that covered for you. And I know if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And that concludes this presentation for today. So thank you all.